All right, all right, all right. Welcome, Monsters with Attitudes fan. Welcome for another episode of Raw Attitude, we are calling it. We are doing live interviews with whole different spectrum of people, influencers, you name it. We're going to try to cover them and get them on the show here. And today we have another special guest. This is like episode 2 for us, and he's 2 for 2 on on the Raw Attitude interviews. So this is going to be his second round with us, and we are so happy for him to come back because now we can focus right on him, all on him, and kind of pick his brain and stuff like that. But of course, with me, next to me, my co-host, Michael. What is going on? Thanks for being here with me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure, my friend. It's always fun. I miss doing these like little interviews. I used to do these kind of things back in the day, and I'm a little rusty. So hopefully I don't fuck it up. So
I'll be fine. All right. Well, yeah, let's get right to it. We'll bring him on. And of course, our man of the hour, Mr. DopePope himself.
Hey.
Joe, welcome. Thank you for being here for round 2.
Yeah, my pleasure. It's good to be back.
Yeah, thank you. So first, before we get going, let's we'll check the chat and see who's here. Oscar, what's going on? Adrian, Nathaniel, what's going on? Nathaniel has a request for you, Dope. He wants you to do King Kong 86.
Wow. That's like at the bottom of my to-do list. I was just writing on my own. But I did watch YouTube recently about how King Kong 86 was underrated. But I don't agree at all.
It's a movie. It has a beginning, it has a middle, and it has an end. It's a movie.
Yeah, that's my favorite part of that movie.
Oh my goodness! All right, and Jordan, what's going on?
Too sweet.
All right, so we will get right into it. So, like I said, this is your second time on, so we kind of covered, kind of how you got into kaiju and tokusatsu kind of thing the first time. So I kind of want to focus more on like your career and your skills and stuff like that. So take us through, or tell us, how did you get into like the digital art, and how did you know like you wanted to make a career out of this?
Those are great questions. I mean, I started doing this in 2013 when I really got a good grasp on the application I use, which is ZBrush. Like at that time, ZBrush was out for years before that, but in 2013 they implemented something. I mean, this is boring technical stuff, but they implemented something in the application that made what used to be difficult to do really easy to do. And once they did that, I was able to like flow through sculpts, and it was like game-changing tech. And once that happened, I was so motivated to keep sculpting. I wasn't thinking about making it a career at all. I was just having fun with it. And at the time I had my own things going on. I had work. I was a freelance photo retoucher and graphic designer, and that was what's paying the bills at the time. So whenever I got a chance to sculpt a monster, that was just strictly for fun, and just because I was so interested in it, I kept coming back for more every day. So over time, it appeared that I was not going to stop ever doing this, right? And as I did it, I fell more back in love with giant monsters and Godzilla, and, like all of it. And because this goes back to my childhood, but there was a long stretch there when I was like, the web wasn't around. We had no way of really diving back into giant monsters in the way we can now. So yeah, decades went by where like there was nothing going on unless
you're right.
You stumbled across a new movie. You were like, holy shit, this movie's coming out. I remember being in a Walden Books, picking up a Starlog magazine off the shelf and just skimming through it, and I see a picture in the back saying Godzilla versus Biollante. And at the time, I thought Godzilla 1985 was the last one they were ever going to be.
Absolutely. Yep.
There's a Godzilla movie out, and that's how I had to find out by accident in some magazine randomly. I could have easily not have gone in there and looked at that magazine and never found out about this movie. So. But now that the internet's here, you can just dive right back into this stuff. So when I was sculpting a monster a day or a monster like a week or as many as I can manage, I just jumped right back into it, falling in love with it, finding out about all these new monsters. Because I like to do the monsters that no one's doing. And at the time, no one was doing any of them. They're mostly drawing them, but no one was really sculpting them in 2013 all that much. There wasn't that many ZBrush kaiju artists. There were, but there wasn't as many as there are now, and they weren't as good as they are now. So, but when I first started, I was not planning on being a career. I didn't think I could even manage. It just wasn't on my mind. What was on my mind was to get good at it. Just be good, get good at it. Just stick to it. Learn as much as you can, get as good as you can, and then whatever happens after that happens after that. But.
Well, it brings up an interesting question for me, Joe. Are you self-taught, or did you go to university for anything you do?
Well, yeah, I went to college for illustration, but there's no computer, nothing involved with that.
Where'd you go to school, Joe?
The FIT in New York, Fashion Institute of Technology. So they had
nice
drawing. Drawing was basically what we did all day. I drew from the model basically all day, all week. So you get a really good drawing foundation. You learn all the fundamentals that way, and all of that carries over into sculpting for sure. But I forgot what I was going to say after that.
I went to the Art Institute in Pittsburgh, so I spent some time in Pittsburgh. Okay. So yeah, I loved going to school. It's like more of a fine arts school. Also, but I kind of gravitated towards like more the marketing, graphic design, and then a little bit of web here. And I dabble in a little bit of web and a little bit of front end development too, but not a whole lot, not as much as I used to. But I was really curious because you're incredibly talented, if you're just if you're completely self-taught, or if you went to university or.
Well, when it comes to sculpting, I mean, I think in college we sculpted once or twice with clay.
Right.
That was basically the only sculpting I've ever done, and I'm not a traditional sculptor at all.
Sure.
And I went to school for illustration, and like everything I've done that involves art, that also involves career, I didn't learn in college. I mean, I learned everything. I became a photo retoucher for a decade, and I didn't know how to photo retouch the day I got the job. I was taught, and I didn't know Photoshop, from college. I knew Photoshop after college, teaching myself that. So yeah, in a way, I'm mostly self-taught with ZBrush. Except that I did go to a crash course at SVA to learn the how to. You can't teach yourself how ZBrush works. You can teach yourself how to sculpt in ZBrush once you know what button does what.
Right.
So I went there and I learned the basics, like how to turn it on and how to get a piece of play on the screen, and then from there it was just like watching tutorials, tons of trial and error, and just going from there. But yeah, I mean, a lot of this is self-taught. I don't like to say that because it's not all me just like busting out with skills. I'm absorbing as much as I can from every artist that I follow and stuff like that. So yeah, it's like, but in that respect, it is like I didn't go to the school to learn how to sculpt kaiju.
Who are you going to for? I don't know. I haven't looked at Eric's question, so forgive me, Eric. But who are you going to for inspiration, Joe? Who are you looking at that inspires you?
Anybody doing anything in kaiju space, and that's I'm watching them. I mean, even the most amateur artists, they're still damn good. They're not doing it professionally. They're doing it for the love. I love, I'm paying attention to them. I'm paying attention to the heavy hitters in Hollywood that are actually making the movies and doing the concept art behind the screen. There's too many names to name. There's but I guarantee you, if you've heard of them, then I'm paying attention to them. I'm admiring their work. Like anybody working on superhero movies, like just anybody working on a movie in general. It's like you got that far. Yeah, I'm paying attention. Like it's all inspirational. But for sure, even those unsung heroes who just do the fan art just because they love it, I'm paying attention to them too, and I just follow along because I love it as much as they do.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Anyone on ArtStation, like I'm following like over 8,000 people on ArtStation. You know, I need it. Like it's definitely, it fuels me when I see awesome, beautiful creature design. It just gets my juices flowing to do the same.
Right.
You know, it's just it's a give and take constantly.
Yeah. What was one of your first, or if you remember, what was your first thing that you kind of started dabbling in, like as a project or like a character in ZBrush?
My very first sculpt ever digitally wasn't even in ZBrush. It was at something called Mudbox, which I went to school for, that crash course. It taught us Mudbox and ZBrush in the span of 1 week. And the first half of the week was Mudbox, and I sculpted a demon with like horns. I mean, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And I was learning the interface, but I sculpted like this monster face with big horns sticking out. Not too far from something I would do like right now or tomorrow or yesterday. But yeah, that was the very first thing. And at the time, it was like so much fun to watch that unfold, you know. And then after that, I think that one of the earliest projects I tried to take on was King Ghidorah. This is 2009. Okay. And this, like I said, I got really good in 2013. But in 2009, before that cool tech was implemented, it was really hard to pull off a King Ghidorah, and I was very frustrated with it. It's still hard to pull it off, even now, especially now. But yeah, so that was one of the first things I remember trying to do. I didn't go straight to Godzilla. I went to like something else. In fact, I stayed away from Godzilla for a while. I went to everybody else, but I didn't feel comfortable enough to be able to do Godzilla as well as some other monsters. Only because, you know, it's like everyone's done a Godzilla, so it's like so much competition out there. But then you find the obscure ones that no one does, and then you know it stands out. Like, oh, this guy's doing some crazy stuff. No one draws this guy. No one sculpts this guy. So yeah, so I go to town with the ones that got no love. And over time, that you know, it got me noticed for sure.
Yeah. I mean, the sculpt that got you on my radar a few years ago was when you worked with X Plus to do the Orga. That was a project that I'm sure you're incredibly proud of. So if you can tell us a little bit of behind the scenes, like how did that project come about? Like you working with X Plus to do Orga, because Orga is not a character you get to see a whole lot. So it was great having that that level of representation for that character.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that is like back then I know he was one of those monsters that didn't get enough love, but I feel like now there's like an inevitable X Plus for just about any monster suit there is. So, but maybe at the time it was like there wasn't one and it was hard to find. But X Plus just reached out randomly in an email and asked me if I wanted to sculpt Iris, and I was like, "Ooh, absolutely!" So then, you know, after that laborious task, because Iris was a huge challenge. It's such an intricate design, a beautiful design, and you know, that was a lot of meticulous attention to detail back and forth. And then they went into production on it, and you don't hear from anybody for a while. And then they reached out again and said, "How about Orga?" And I was thrilled to do Orga just the same. It's seemingly less intricate, but it's still like an X Plus piece. It's got to be absolutely beautiful. You know, attention to detail is on point. Even when things look really, really simple, that's when things can get really difficult, because there's a ton of work involved in making something look simple. So yeah, I mean, that's basically the second job I got from them, and I think that one went quite well. I love the result, how it came out. Then when they showed pictures of the toy, I was like, wow, that's incredible. The paint's on it. It looks like it's right out of the movie. And then I got, they sent me a toy in the mail, and I was like, oh man, this is so cool. And I do
Yeah.
think, well, I was gonna say I thought it was my first X Plus ever, but it wasn't. I have like some really old X Plus stuff that it's not even vinyl. It's like hard or
Yeah.
resin stuff. It's like
Yep.
so. I mean, to be able to work for a company like that is like just that for me at that time. That was a huge career thing. Like to go from fan artist to sculpting for X Plus. That's amazing. That's just amazing.
So Adrian had a question. So you were talking about how hard and meticulous Iris was. So could you say, or would you say that was your toughest sculpt you've ever done?
It's absolutely up there. Yeah, Iris was a challenge. There was something more recently I did. Oh yeah, I did Ghidorah 64 for YMSF recently, and
that's right. Yeah, that's right.
we wanted the scales to look perfect, or as perfect as we can get the scales, and that was just in terms of I laid in every scale one at a time. So that was insanely difficult to do, but I think overall Iris was more of a challenge just because it wasn't just a matter of like stippling detail or laying in like one and just it was everything. Every aspect of Iris was like just comprehending the design and how it pulls together was a challenge. Like Ghidorah, I knew what to do. It was just a matter of doing it, and very meticulous. But yeah, I mean, but with Iris, it was just like every piece had a different intricate texture and really elaborate details that are not common. They're not like she just grab this from over here and pull it, and it'll look the same. Don't worry, it's not like that. It's very very interesting, beautiful design. I remember not giving it much attention before I got the gig, and then afterwards I was absolutely in love with Iris. And I love when I get that way, when I get to work on something and I find a new love and respect for it in the job and what it takes to get it done. I remember when I sculpted Monster X just for myself. When I was done with that, I was like, wow, I actually almost like this suit. I go on record, Monster X was my least favorite monsters ever, but now it's like I slightly like it more, but not all that much.
From start to finish, I'm curious. How long did it take you to finish Iris from the start of the process? You got the email, like you're working on Iris, to when it's complete and you've sent the files off to X Plus for actual sculpting. How long did that take you?
It's really tricky to say because I mean I'll do lots of sculpting, consecutive hours of it, but then I'll send it off to get comments, and a couple of weeks, 3-4 weeks might go by where I don't get anything. So to be able to like delete that time waiting for comments and just condense down the sculpting time, it's hard for me to say, but I would say like maybe a straight month of just sculpting on it.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, I think that's a lot of, because there's lots of back and forth and stuff like that. So yeah, I would say about a month of like regular 8-hour days of sculpting.
Wow.
That might be overshooting, but I think it's around that. And I think Orga was a lot less. Orga, we got into the final of that a lot faster.
Okay.
Because it's not, isn't it?
Crazy.
It's not intricate.
It just doesn't have the crazy appendages that Iris.
Yeah,
sure.
But I was like, they told me that the director of Gamera 3 had to approve the toy that I made. I was like biting my nails and like, oh my God, that's so nerve-wracking. And the same thing with the Orga. They were like, tell us to approve this. But then I got Shinichi Okasa's like blessing on when I posted it, and he was like, this looks great. And
wow.
So I'm like, oh my God, it's just like as a fan, that's just like,
sure.
Exactly.
It's worth every minute I spent working on this.
Yeah, that has to put you on cloud 9 to know that the people who are behind these movies are like, yep, that is exactly what I want. That's exactly what it needs to look like, and I approve that. Like that has to be just a world to you.
100%. I mean, that's just aside. I mean, that is the goal. Like that's what you need to hear. It's aside from the actual paycheck, which is kind of ridiculous when you're like, I would like, you would I would probably do that for free, if I didn't. I would still sculpt orga because that's what I do, and like. Yeah. So I'm like, on the one hand, I'm getting paid to do something I would have done probably on my own, but then I'm also getting like Toho looking at it, and people that made the film are looking at it. And and when I found out this piece was in the Toho museum, I was thrilled. I'm like, I can't believe I have a piece of artwork in the Toho museum.
Yeah, you are part of history now. you were part of history for Toho. Like that's insane.
Yeah, it's just super happy kind of stuff.
Oh my goodness, that's awesome. Well, besides X Plus and stuff like that, you are connected with a lot of upcoming toy releases or figure releases, if you will. And like I stated before, our first interview, we had you and the guys from Seismic Toy, Chris and Alex. But I just kind of wanted to show this off again to anybody who didn't see it, just to kind of show your rendering and stuff like that to the final figure. It looks tremendous. Like I love everything you did for this Gomez design. Oh man, props to you. It's great. And it's come, the pre-orders are ending soon, I think this week. So I mean, hopefully by, summer's time, everybody will get these in hands, but this is, I mean, how proud are you of this guy? Because like you said, this is your first Ultra Kaiju, so that's pretty special.
Yeah, I'm super excited for this to come out. I cannot wait to have it in my hand. I'm very curious to see how well it does because I really do want to work with Seismic again on future Ultra Kaiju. So that's like there's a lot riding on this for me, and hopefully future designs. But I mean, just as a collector, I want this piece as well. Even if I didn't sculpt it, I want it. Whatever it is, it just looks great. I have to have it. He's a cool monster for sure.
Yes.
But and anybody slightly interested in this, jump on it because I think pre-orders end this week. But I'm hitting you guys with a lot of stuff. I have a lot of stuff coming out. So
you do, man. You do.
One thing they want to buy from me is they're gonna have option paralysis soon.
Hey, that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, I guess it's a good problem to have, right?
It is. It is. I mean, as us collectors, I mean, I guess we kind of all run into this problem where there's always too much to buy and just not enough cash to buy it all, honestly.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oscar was asking about Shin Gyrus.
No official plans that I can speak on, but I'd love to do that. But being that that doesn't exist yet in the universe, that would just be like a kind of like a made up thing.
Yeah.
So I doubt we're going to be allowed to do a made up thing unless it can be officially licensed. That's for sure. Yeah. So, but I mean, one of my favorite artists, he just came out with one as a fan art. It's like an updated Gyrus, like. It looks like an updated Godzilla 2000 with a neck frill. And he's yeah, it looks really good.
That's awesome. Have you ever done Power Rangers or Super Sentai? Like, have you ever sculpted any of that stuff before?
No, I have not. I was not a Power Ranger fan, and most Super Sentai is to me it was like, I don't want to like say it's beneath me or anything like that because it's definitely not. It's just not something I ever got into. The closest I get to that is probably Spectreman.
Okay, Spectreman. Okay, yeah.
Is there like a what do you call those? It's got to be a specific thing. Like, they're not giant? Is that it? They're like superhero sized, like human being sized.
Henshin Men.
Super Sentai, I think just in general.
Henshin Men.
In general, yeah, it ranges. It's human size, and then they get like large monster size. Sentai is interesting. It's one of the more interesting tokusatsu shows. It can definitely get really weird at times, and it's not everyone's cup of tea. But I love the older stuff. like around the 90s, like from Jew Ranger all the way up to like oh shoot, the name is escaping me. Crap. All the way up to like Car Ranger and Mega Ranger and stuff like that. Like it's just incredibly weird, and some of the monsters are really wild, and I think that you would have a lot of fun, especially some of the ones from if I'm thinking of Kaku Ranger, which is all based on yokai, and those things are ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I think you would have a lot of fun with those, Joe.
Yeah, you know what it is? It's just that it was never available to me when I was younger, so I don't have that nostalgic attachment to it.
Yeah.
I think I was at a certain age when Power Ranger became popular. I was a little bit older, so I didn't take to it the way kids younger took to it.
Right.
And they have nostalgia for that, and and I don't. So, but it's not like I wouldn't work on it if someone commissioned me for it. I would absolutely do that. That's because like when I see the monster designs of stuff, sometimes they're so good, I perk up. And like, where's that from? And it's from the show that I never would have watched when I was young.
Right.
A lot of it just wasn't on where I was. So even Ultraman wasn't on hardly ever. What I remember seeing as a kid that was close to that was like the giant robot movie that they spliced it all.
Oh,
movie.
Yeah.
What is it? The Voyage into Space, I think they called it.
Yes.
Love that thing.
Yeah, with Saki. What's his name?
Johnny
Sacco.
Yeah,
Johnny Sacco.
Space or something like that. It was just a TV show spliced into a movie, and I love that. I mean, even if you can see behind me is Jacqueline, one of the first monsters he fights in that movie, and the giant robot. I think it goes. So that's that. I remember that. I don't remember hardly any Ultraman, but I remember Inframan, which wasn't even.
Oh, Super Inframan, yes.
Oh my God, that's ridiculous.
And that was on a lot when I was a kid. So I have fond memories of Inframan, and that's it. I mean, those would. And then I found Spectrum-Man at the VHS store, whatever you call them, the video store. It was on VHS, and that was like, I've never even heard of this, but it's got Japanese monsters in it. I'm watching it, and I was like, wow, this is terrible. Even back then, I was like,
exactly.
These effects are terrible, but you just fall in love with it regardless. And then there's like really, really interesting. I remember the first episode I put on. It was like. It literally looked like a red pepper with legs and an eyeball and stuff. And it was called Zuno Man. And he was like, and he's just walking around all goofy. And I'm like, what did I put on? This is ridiculous.
And you can't, and Zebra Man, you can't forget about Zebra Man either.
Zebra Man, I remember with that stupid Zuno red pepper thing. That might have been one of the first things I sculpted in ZBrush also. It's like you go all the way back, and I guarantee you'll find a picture of that stupid red pepper with an eyeball.
I think Nathaniel Plummer is being a little cheeky when he says, you'll pull up that. I think he said, I think making a big detailed Gorgo would sell well.
Yeah. So that is one of the things we did. And I think any minute now, the 13-inch Gorgo is going to be out. And I can't wait to see what that looks like as well. Because
oh yeah, for sure. Like some of the early photos look fantastic. Like the work done on that thing is great.
Because I think the toy, the articulated toy, as cool as it is, I think when you chop things up for articulation, you lose a lot of the silhouette that makes it what it is, because they have to move around. And even with that said, it's still a cool looking figure. Plus it's 6 inches, so it's like you're losing detail because it's getting shrunk. And I was like, as someone who's worked on X Plus and appreciates X Plus level of detail and size, I was like adamant that we do a bigger one just to showcase what an X Plus collector might want, because not articulated figures aren't for everyone, but it seems like I always thought that people would collect the static statues that had the detail, but it turns out it seems like the articulated is more popular and people want that over the statues, generally speaking. But I say, why not have both? Is what I say.
Yep, exactly. I mean, let's appease both collector types and everything. Yep, absolutely. All right, we're gonna move on, and like you kind of touched base a little bit with YMSF. And actually, coincidentally, I did put the 64 Ghidorah in this picture and stuff like that. So, but yeah, these are just kind of some of your designs that you have submitted to them that they are plan on making and stuff like that. Yeah, go into some of this working with YMSF and everything and doing these designs for them.
Yeah, just the same as usual. Usually I just get an email or a direct message from somebody asking me if I'm interested in working on stuff. And when it comes to Godzilla, I mean, I think YMSF, they have what they call day licenses or stuff like that. So they're allowed to work on the licensed material and say that they're licensed for a very short window of time. Okay. I'm not exactly sure how it all works out, but it was one of my first questions. Are these like just bootleg things that you do, or are you actually licensed? And then he explained it to me, and then he just hit me with a bunch of monsters that he wanted me to sculpt, one after the other. And, so that's currently those are the ones I've done, and I have a few more in the works.
Cool.
And it's really cool working with them. They're very cool people. They're very nice, respectful, they're friendly, and generous, and I enjoy them. And so
that's
awesome. Plus, I'm working on monsters that I'm like, I would sculpt for myself, but I'm getting some money to do it at the same time, and then some toys when it's all done. Like, I would love to see these things. I can't wait to have these in my collection.
Yeah,
it's because I sculpted them, but also because some of them I don't have in my collection at all. So why not have this one? Because it's a toy now. So yes, that's. I'm very eager to get my hands on that Ghidorah and the space gun. I already have a 2000 and 2002 Godzilla, Final Wars and all that, 2001 or whatever it is.
Yeah. So like every time you make something for somebody, they automatically like, hey, you're gonna have the toy of it or whatever. Like that's like kind of a given kind of thing.
Well, I don't know if it's an unspoken rule, but I mean, usually if you sculpt for someone, they'll give you at least one.
Okay.
And if you want to work out with the contract, if you can get more than that, or at least a discount on buying some.
Yeah.
And once they're in toy form and they're like I definitely want one for my collection, and then one for just to have to refer to it. And then if I could have a few more to possibly sell at shows, because I'm always doing shows and I'm always looking to have something to sell at shows. So to be able to sell that and having sculpted it, it's just a cool thing to have. But yeah, I won't be able to sell these at every show because I won't have that many of them. So
yeah, that's true. Joe, another co-host, he was on our show with Seismic. He's asking, have you ever done Des Ghidorah or Grand King Ghidorah from the Rebirth of Mothra series?
No and no.
No.
Not yet, anyway.
Yeah, not yet.
It could possibly be in the things in the future that I'm working on, but currently, no, that's not in my book.
Okay. Have you ever done any of the Rebirth of Mothra kaiju, like just for fun, like not a just
no.
You're like, hey, I just kind of want to do this one.
I remember looking at the Garla creature for a while.
Yeah,
and that's probably something I could do. That's obscure as hell too.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude.
I never got around to it because some monsters are so obscure. You're like, what's the point?
Yeah, because they're already weird enough.
It's just so obscure, and then you start thinking to yourself like, what am I going to do with artwork of this thing? Like, no one cares. But yeah, you never know. It's that one or two people care.
All right, moving along. So I was a lot of these images I got on your DeviantArt website and stuff like that.
Sure.
I was filing through there and stuff like that. And I did see that you had actually sculpted the Titanicus for like the Titanic Creations mascot and everything. Is this coming into toy form or bigger form or anything like that, or was this like just a commission that they wanted you to do?
No, I've been sculpting their toys for years now. This is the toy.
Oh, okay.
They made this toy. It's been out already in figure form. first they came out with giant statues. They were like 30 centimeter heavy resin statues. But then they went into the smaller ones that had very simple articulation at first, and now like I think they went in and cut them up completely, so they'll be super articulated. That's coming out at the end of this year at some point. And then after this there was like 4 more that we did, and then we did Gorgo, and then we have other things coming out as well. So
next will be Yungari. Yeah,
tomorrow Yungari, the pre-order's open, so we'll have
Yungari.
A really cool video and pictures and stuff to launch that. So, but yeah, so that's coming. That'll be tomorrow. But this is fucking kaiju.
Yeah, that's awesome. And speaking of Gorgo, of course I had to throw this in here.
Yeah.
So on the left side of your screen is the 6-inch articulated Gorgo, and on the right is the 30 centimeter picture. So the only pictures that I kind of could find on Titanic Creations, like Twitter, was I think that's Mac kind of holding and having the only 30 centimeter Gorgo in hand and stuff like that. But it looks beautiful, and I cannot wait to get that one.
It's like, look how big it is in his hand. It's
exactly crazy. Look, that thing is just chunky.
Yeah, I love that. And the box art is gorgeous. It's by I don't know if you guys know Nick Shev.
I do.
Yes.
He's really good.
Yeah.
So he asked him to do the box art because we needed box art, and he just came up. He just did everything on the box. He came up with those ideas, and because like this is the big one, like nothing you've ever seen before. All of that was right out of an old advertisement for Gorgo, and it just totally works on this box because it's the big one.
Yep, exactly.
It reminds me of the old Aurora boxes, like the Aurora Godzilla boxes.
Absolutely.
Very, very very vintage looking. It's beautiful.
So on the 6-inch one, the articulated one, Matt Frank hooked up beautiful artwork on that.
Yep.
And on the larger box, I figured he wouldn't want to do Gorgo again, so we wanted to get someone just as good. So we asked Nick, and he killed it. Beautiful piece. Yeah. Like now I can't wait to get that. Not even just because of the figure, but the box. You don't throw a box like that out. You keep the box.
Exactly.
So that's that. And now you just use it as a display for the figure. You put it on top. But yeah, and that's the same thing we have going on with Yungari. We got Matt Frank did the 6-inch articulated box, and then hopefully if it sells well and there's a demand for a 13-inch Yungari, we're ready for you. We're gonna kill it with that as well. It has to happen. I really need Yungari to do well so that we can make that 13-inch, because that would be my dream come true. I always wanted a toy of Yungari. Can never find it. And
absolutely not.
And like you can't find a good looking toy of Yungari anywhere. So screw it. Well, let's make one. I mean, that's basically that's the thinking behind Gorgo and Yungari and just about anything else that's coming out. Mm-hmm. It's like, these toys are underrepresented. Where is that one definitive piece that everyone has to have? Like, well, then we'll make them, and then
I think
it's hard to promote something that came out 60 years.
I think before this, I would say the only definitive Gorgo figure out there was the M1, the Sofubi.
Yeah, that's
or the wasn't there an old a plastic model kit of Gorgo that came out like several decades ago?
Yeah, there's a few really nice ones, but they're like, that's what I say. Unless you're really involved and your shit, that's not that definitive because they're very elusive. Like people don't know they exist, and so I would kind of want this to be like everyone knows about it, even if they don't like it. They've seen it, they heard of it. So that's the goal.
Yeah, I love everything you guys have done with Gorgo. Your sculpt, your design is perfect. Like I absolutely love it. Like I said, cannot wait. The box arts are amazing. I love particularly the articulated, honestly, because it looks like the circus that they put on for Gorgo that they were displaying and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like it looks exactly like it. I just love that. It's just unfortunately I just don't do articulated figures anymore. So like when they announced the 30, I was like, hell yeah, this is my jam because I want the bigger guys.
Yeah.
Same thing with Younguri. Like I'm really hoping that like everybody buys the articulated so I can get my big one.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of like you with that. Like articulated figures, as great as they are, they don't get me excited. Like even the high end ones, like the SH Monster Arts and stuff like that. It's not a matter of the price or anything like that. It's just like
it's the silhouette.
I'm not really gonna. Yeah, it's the silhouette, and they do really killer jobs on it where they can really hide the seams so well. But then if you're doing that, you almost don't even want to take the risk of posing it because you might break the damn thing. You spend so much money on. I'm like, my mindset is just like leave it in one pose, no seams. It looks awesome. I don't need to play with it anymore. I'm old.
Yeah, exactly.
Them together. You're not buying an SH Monster Arts to play with. I mean, I know a lot of people do videos with them and
well, they're so fragile. It's hard to play with them. I mean, it's all of my SH Monster Arts that I ever had. They were so fragile. I didn't want to breathe on them. I just I just posed them and left them alone.
Right. And when something's got like 50 points of articulation,
right,
the chance that one of those points is going to become weak and loose and fragile is very high. So you just it's got all this articulation, but you still put it in a T pose and leave it alone. No touch. So it's like, all right, just get the match instead. So that's how I feel about it. So yeah. 30 centimeter Younguri, please make it happen.
And perfect segue. And here we are to Younguri, who is coming out very soon. Like you mentioned, tomorrow the pre-orders open. So go check out Titanic Creations website. You can check out their social medias and stuff like that. There is a way for you to get on that pre-order list and everything. But yeah, like I said, this thing looks amazing. Your sculpt looks amazing. I love all the extra bonuses that you guys are doing and that you've sculpted and stuff because it looks killer.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with the Younguri on this. I mean, the more I see that it's really going to happen, it's becoming like a Younguri toy in 2024. It's insane.
Yeah, right.
It's just so cool to me. Like finally, the definitive toy is now here. And yeah, I feel like even the articulation cuts don't seem to really screw with the silhouette all that much. To be honest, I need to still see the final like actual prototype and examine it for real. But based on what I'm looking at here, I'm in love with the 6-inch articulated figure already. So
there's even some final production photos of the actual figure, and I like even the paint job. The paint job on this thing is just dynamite. I love it.
Yeah, I think so too.
It brings it to life. It really does. Like it's so funny how we're so excited and just giddy about these unknown kaiju that like nobody talks about, and their movie you could probably buy in a bin at Walmart for $5 because nobody gives a shit about, but like we're like, hey, like this is amazing and we are over the moon for this stuff, and as ridiculous as they are, we're like, this is our jam.
Yeah, I mean, if this came out when I was a kid, I would have, whatever I had to do to get this toy, I would have done it, like how much years of saving up my allowance.
Yeah.
Like whatever it took, just I imagine it would have been like $24.99, and I would have like, oh, it's so much money.
Right. Accounting for inflation now.
I'm talking like 1982. And if this came out when the movie came out, it would have been out in the early 60s. It would have been worth thousands of dollars by now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
So but I love this monster in particular. It just reminds me of my childhood. And it's one of those one and done, one movie and never another movie ever again. No sequel. Guy Lalo is kind of like they cheated. They had a sequel 40 years later.
Oh yeah.
Count if it's 40 years later, but it looked just like the same monster, so I guess it kind of counts.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're kind of talking about the obscure monsters, and we kind of touched on that on the first interview, and you seem to really have that passion for these obscure, nobody knows kind of one and done monsters. Why is that? Why do you are drawn to these one and done monsters?
It's a really good question. I'm not sure. I think before I knew of the companies and the behind the scenes of kaiju, I just recognized like just interesting monster designs that I can't like appealed to me. And for some reason, I guess Godzilla was on a lot more than these other guys were on. So I just got used to Godzilla being around. And then when I saw something that seemed a little bit more rare, and it only had the one movie and not repeated over in multiple movies, I guess I just kind of like took notice of that and realized that some reason these monsters are not coming around ever again. So appreciated them. But when you don't know about the companies that make them, you think they're all related. They're all in the same boat together, and they're all family. And then you find out they're rival companies like Marvel and DC, and then you're like, then they're never gonna fight each other because it's copyright nonsense. You're like, wait a minute, I don't want to know about the business. I just want to.
So true.
So but same with like Gamera. I just something about them. The Gamera series, the show of Gamera monsters are just so bizarre looking that I just fell in love with every one of them. Most of them, anyway.
Yes.
I know it's kind of like a badge of honor to be really into these like more obscure kaiju, because it's like, yes, Godzilla, like there was a time when Godzilla was obscure as well, especially here in the United States, but like, yes, everyone knows anyone who's a fan of the genre knows who Godzilla is. They know who King Kong is. But it's almost like a badge of honor to be like, oh yeah, but my other favorite monster is one from South Korea called Yongari. Have you ever heard of that one? It's like, no, I have not. It's almost like a weird little badge, a fandom badge of honor to be not just into like the mainstream stuff, because Godzilla is now at this point is a mainstream character, but also to be into and appreciate these other more obscure kaiju like Gilala, Yongari, Pulgasari, and some others, to kind of show that you're not just in it just for the popularity, you're in it because you love the genre.
Yeah, that's what it. I mean, if it was on when I was a kid, I loved it.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
and still do.
Absolutely, that's cool. We got a quick question here from Jordan. You ever think of doing Toho's Frankenstein or Zone Fighter kaiju?
Yes, I think about doing Toho's Frankenstein a lot. It's because he's very humanoid, so I definitely wanted to do like a companion piece for my Baragon and maybe pose them like really going at it. I'll probably get around to that at some point. And I did a Zone Fighter monster, just the head of it, like a weird thing with a big ball spike on his head. I can't remember any of their names. But they're so weird looking things.
Oh, they are.
They're so strange. But I would love to like update one. And Zone Fighter himself is pretty cool. I'd probably do my version of Zone Fighter as well. So, these are characters I absolutely would do, probably will at some point.
Yeah, that would be really, really cool, because I'm a huge Zone Fighter fan. Like I love Ultraman and everything, but man, when I found Zone Fighter, like it leapfrogged Ultraman for me. I don't know what it is, and like my version of like the DVD like had no subtitles, no nothing. It was all Japanese. I had no idea what they're talking about, so I just watched the screen, and just kind of it unfolded itself and everything. But I don't know what it was. I just fell in love with it, and I just, oh my goodness, like the kaiju are ridiculous. Their designs are weird, and their names are even weirder. But you can't remember their names because they're so weird. But it's so great.
Yeah, to this day, I don't think I've ever seen the Zone Fighters. I'm waiting for that definitive Blu-ray box set or something that they do it. I've seen lots of pictures of them, and I know exactly what they look like and all that. I've never actually sat down and saw the episodes unfold. Maybe if they're on YouTube somewhere.
There are. I know
Maybe
for
I
a fact
did.
the ones with like Godzilla in them are on YouTube.
Okay.
So
Maybe I did watch them, but on YouTube, I don't feel like. I definitely didn't see them when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see them when you were?
I didn't actually. I didn't get into Zone Fighter until I would say maybe like 5 years ago. And I had just like somehow stumbled upon it. I was like, I see this episode of like Godzilla and he's fighting these weird monsters. I go, but that's not from a Godzilla movie. I go, where is this from?
Yeah.
And so I just kind of had to track it down and be like, what is this? And found out it was Toho's version of Ultraman. And, I mean, I had to get a bootleg version of it, but I did what I had to.
It's weird because like Jet Jaguar is Toho's
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ultraman also, so you think maybe Zone Fighter and Jet Jaguar team up.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, maybe they'll do that at some point in like these short films that they put out every year now, which are
that's a good idea.
That would be a good idea.
That would be really
cool. Well, we know Toho watches this show, so Toho, make it happen.
Yeah, they're subscribers. Yeah. All right, so we've talked about the toys that you're affiliated with. You have a whole bunch of projects going on, but the Big Daddy, the main event that I just recently found out about that I couldn't believe, but you were behind bringing Tiamat to life.
Yeah.
I need to hear the story about this, like, because this is amazing to me.
So I was working a show back in 2018, Monster Palooza show.
Okay.
I was showcasing my work, and it was crowded and working the table. And someone comes up to the table, starts talking to me and going through my book and saying like how much they like the work, and just got into a casual chat with them. And then at some point, he just drops that he's the director of Godzilla 2. And at the time, Godzilla 2 was Godzilla King of the Monsters. It wasn't out yet, obviously. It was in production. And this is like October of 2018. So I'm like, you're the director of Godzilla 2. I'm like, it took me like a minute to even process that. Because I'm like, thankfully, I was nice to him because because not everybody is going to come to your table as you're going to be able to talk to. So thankfully, I talked to him. And it just turned into a conversation about that. Once I learned who it was, I couldn't resist say like, well, if you ever need a concept artist, please give me a call. It would be a dream come true. And he took me up on that offer, and he absolutely reached out to me. And then, if it wasn't for Mike, this wouldn't have happened. But it happened a long time ago, is what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. So I waited. When I did it at the time, they were like doing things preemptively because I guess they don't always know where they're going to be used. So, but they have comics, they have TV shows, they have video games, they have all kinds of outlets for these creatures. So they just need a design. So I wasn't ever told where it's going to be used, where or when. It was just, you work on this design. Yeah. It was approved, and then now you just wait and you wait. So when it came out in the comics, that's when I was like, all right, I guess that's what that was for. It was for the comic, and then the comic version was somewhat changed for the comic panels. So I said, all right, cool. I mean that happens. Things concept art goes through like revisions and crazy changes. It's like it's not unheard of. It's completely normal, and it still doesn't change the fact that I at some point provided some input, and that's But then to see that my design almost down to every detail is on screen in the movie after 5 years of waiting and not even knowing that's coming out. That was exhilarating to say the least, to be able to just go to the movies and see a monster on screen that you helped create. It's just nuts. I was screaming like crazy. It was a quick scene though, real quick.
Yeah, and that sucks because it's such an interesting character and stuff like that, and I love her design. Yeah, it's so cool.
She definitely did not get enough screen time, that's for sure.
Yeah, I went back and saw it again, and it's like, the second time around, I knew where to dart my eyes to see, like, pick up more detail, and it was cool. Like I did see a lot more interesting stuff the second time around, but it's really fast, and like if I didn't sculpt it myself, I wouldn't know some of those details are there at all because it's so fast and quick. But yeah, I mean, why is Godzilla got to be like that all the time?
Yeah, Nathaniel just asked, did it break your heart when he killed her?
Kinda, yeah. I was like, my baby.
Yeah, my baby. No.
I want her to be around for a future.
Yeah.
For those cameos that make monster movies interesting, you know. But at the same time, you kind of like, if you can't die, if these Titans aren't going to die ever, then there's no stakes in these movies. There's nothing interesting to like. There's nothing to root for. There's no nail biting about it. If like no one ever dies, then why bother watching them fight? Because it's like watching those like superhero fights where they're punching each other through buildings, but no one ever gets hurt. No one ever dies, and it's like, okay, well, like Godzilla showed, man, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah.
So it's funny. It's funny, Eric. We were just having this conversation, I believe, the other night, weren't we?
Yeah. Yes, we were.
About what if Godzilla died in a movie? You know, would that raise the stakes? So
I think so. But you know, it's what's gonna happen. It always happens. He'll die, and then a movie later, like the youngling will come up and take his place, and you know, and that's or another version of him, or a multiverse. Imagine a multiverse Godzilla movie where every iteration of Godzilla shows up.
Oh my boy! Yes.
That would have to be like a 14-hour movie.
Yeah. Honestly, if Adam Wingard had his way, that's probably what we would end up with, because it's they have definitely taken the franchise in an interesting direction. I will say, we were talking about this the other night, where you know it started off with 2014, and 2014 was supposed to be this like dark, gritty movie in the same vein as 1954, and now we've gone full hard sci-fi with it with the recent Godzilla X Kong, or Godzilla Kong, whatever you want to call it. It's just interesting how that particular franchise has progressed over the last 10 years.
And I like both directions. I kind of wish I would have seen, like, had they start off Godzilla, the Monsterverse, in the same tone as the Wingard films are now. I wonder what those first few movies would have been like. And then in reverse, I wonder what like Gareth Edwards' Godzilla movies, all the way up to the most recent, would have been like. I would like to see that dark and gritty version all the way through. I mean, that both of those sides are interesting to me, and I'd love to watch both of those happen.
Yeah, so it's basically to say, like, you're a fan of both. You don't
I'm happy
one over another, and it's just more Godzilla is good Godzilla, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely prefer a darker, serious tone. That's my preference, but I still love everything that I get, you know, for the most part. Yeah. We don't talk about 98. Sorry for the 98 fans out there. I am learning to like that version of him.
Little bit.
Well, I sculpted it, and it's like one of my best-selling pieces. So there's love for Zilla out there for sure.
There is. There is.
Yeah, but I just
I think it's mainly for the design, not necessarily the movie.
The design is beautiful. It's just not a Godzilla design. That's my go-to argument. It just doesn't look like Godzilla, but it's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous monster. Lots of respect to anyone behind the scenes on that film.
Yeah. Well, like Oscar was saying, you know, did you have any plans to doing the Godzilla animated series? And honestly, I think more fans of the 98 look are more fans of the animated series than the actual movie. Just because, I mean, let's be honest, that series was actually a lot of fun, and it was actually good.
And some great monsters, great monsters designs for sure. The animation was really good. Yeah, I love those monsters, so I probably will do a few more here and there. I don't have anything on the agenda currently, but yeah, I wouldn't turn down that either. So
is there so we've talked about a whole bunch of stuff that you've been doing. and I've checked out your profile and your DeviantArt, and you do a lot of stuff on there. And if anybody has not seen his DeviantArt page, go to it. He's got a lot of great stuff. Is there a character in particular that you haven't done that you're like, oh man, I really, really want to do this character?
Oh, it's a great question. There are some characters I haven't done, but I don't feel like the urge to do them. Maybe not in the kaiju universe. Maybe like just in movie monsterdom, like a Queen Alien or a Predator. Those are monsters that now I would have done, but I haven't gotten around to. Much like I was saying earlier, when something has been done by so many talented people, you kind of avoid them. Like, so I kind of avoided them because there's so many artworks out there of those characters that are done so well that even if I kill it, it's just another piece of something that you've already seen. So yeah, but then I'm also thinking like, I'm surprised no one hit me up to do it professionally, like to do a licensed figure of so and so. So yeah, I don't know. I don't have one. I don't have a kaiju off the top of my head. It would have been Yangari or Gorgo. It would have been that for sure.
See, I think mine is, and maybe this might happen in the future, but my like obscure like guilty pleasure is Gappa.
Oh, well, I sculpted a Gappa.
You did, it did, and I've seen it, and it's like, oh man, I was like, that needs to be officially released because that give me a 30 of that baby, like I'm saying, you know, wings and all.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see what the future brings.
I know.
Yeah, let's see what the future brings. But yeah, I mean, if it's any indication of what is in store based on the sculpt I already have, then yeah, that would be a good looking toy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. So we're kind of on the subject of, you know, other kaiju or projects. Is there anything that you have coming up that you can talk about or, you know, maybe hint at? You know, I don't want you to get in trouble or anything, but anything kind of in the works?
Well, I spoke of the things that are already coming, which is basically the Yungary is tomorrow. It drops. The pre-orders drop tomorrow. I think it's been announced that we also want to do a Pulgasari figure.
Yes.
So that we can say is also in the works.
That's awesome.
And then after that, I can't say too much on that. And that's all Titanic creation stuff.
Okay.
We have lots of things in the pipeline, but only certain things can we talk about. So Yungary and Pulgasari will be what's coming up there, plus the 13-inch Gorgo, which should be out any minute. And then with Seismic, it's just the Gomez right now, and we would like to work together on something more. So when I find out what that is, we'll definitely be in touch for that. Let's see what else I have. YMSF, you saw what's coming and what I'm working on now. I can't show just yet, but as soon as that's available, I'll let you know. And then I do something called Black Market Kaiju, which is like me and two other artists, Eric Sosa and Erwin Papa. And the three of us, we just create our own original monster designs and do little figures of them. And last year we came out with like 6 little mini monsters that were like 3D printed. I painted them and we bagged them and we were selling them at Kaiju Brooklyn. And I sold a ton of them. And then I went to Comic-Con and sold a bunch there. So I'll be at Monsterpalooza this year.
Okay.
And I'll be selling them as well. I'll have those, the mini kaiju for sale there. I'll probably have some Gorgo stuff too. I think I'll have the 13-inch, I think, and some comic color Gorgo 6-inch articulated. I won't have Yungary. It won't be made by then, but that sucks. So you'll have to wait for that. And yeah, I think that's everything that I have brewing currently that I can talk about.
Okay. That's all. Any more of like these little?
Oh, well, Titanosaurus. I mean, yeah, I can 3D print on demand, so I can do a Titanosaurus. I'll have some last dinosaurs. I'll have a Rodan, some Zillas. Yeah, I mean, I'll start posting pictures of this stuff once
Yeah.
I literally spent all morning painting them, so I'm like, no. I was covered in green paint a little while ago. Yeah. So yeah, I'm getting some of my Shimos printed, so I can have some Shimos at the show. Yeah, so as soon as I have more pictures of them, I'll be posting, because it's June 1st, Monsterpalooza, so it's like a month away, basically.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah.
Get ready. Plus Kaiju Brooklyn 2 is also happening on the same day, so
Okay.
it's East Coast and West Coast, and Kaiju represented everywhere. So yeah, I have a lot going on in the next probably month of June.
Right on. Yeah. Have you ever thought about going to G Fest?
Yeah, I used to go all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, and I loved it. It's a great show. It's a great vibe. It's a lot of fun. I know Titanic Creations will be there, so I'll be there in spirit. But I just didn't make plans to go this year. A lot of things were going on. I know it's like an anniversary show for them, so they're like really pulling out the stops. But I don't think I could be there. If I am there, it'll be a spur of the moment thing at the last second.
Okay.
I don't think I'm going to be there.
That's okay. I mean, there's always next year, and the year after, and the year after that.
Yeah, I'll probably wind up there at some point in the future. But yeah, it's just this year. I didn't go last year either. Last time I was there, I think, was 2019, actually.
Okay, before the pandemic.
Yeah, I was just, after that was COVID, and then COVID, weird things started happening, so we just stopped going altogether. Yeah. Only doing the local shows, so be traveling for a show right after COVID just didn't seem smart.
Yeah, yeah.
But but now I always go back to Pasadena for the Monsterpalooza show, because with the amazing luck I had getting a gig on a monster movie, I'm like, all right, this is a show you need to be at. So I'm like, it proved its worth immediately. So now I go back, and it's like people like Shinichi Wakasa come over to my table just to say hi, like, this is the place to be,
Yeah, right?
It's really a great show. It's a great show, and I look forward to that every year. Even just as a spectator, even if I didn't have a table, it would just be awesome to walk around and see the best of the best have tables there and just sell their work, and it's a great, awesome time. If you love that stuff, it's a great show to see in person.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm jealous, because obviously, I mean, I'm central. I'm in Wisconsin, so like coasts are not a thing for me unless obviously I fly and everything. So I'm just kind of stuck, unfortunately. So, but yeah, I mean, every time I see those conventions where people are at, it's just, I'm so envious of them, because it's like, oh man, I wish that kind of stuff was around me. And
yeah, absolutely. It's even weird, because even in Brooklyn, we feel like we're not getting proper like kaiju related stuff. So I didn't start it, but John Bellotti Jr. is affiliated with that Rover 7 doing the Kaiju Brooklyn show, which is like, I think he's really trying to like amp this show up so it is the definitive kaiju experience. And so far so good. I mean, it's brand new, but I don't think it's gonna get there, hopefully. But we have stuff like Comic-Cons and anime and and then, kaiju is represented there, but nothing like the way he's gearing it up to be.
Yeah,
it's great. But it's really like we have those things. You're telling me that you don't even have stuff like that, like no Comic-Cons there, no anime conventions. So like, what little thing you do get is far away.
Yeah, exactly.
But there was nothing like that G Fest for us. Like for me to travel to Chicago.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to go, and it was the funniest thing, because when I went, the first time I ever went, I met so many people from my neighborhood that I didn't know were into kaiju.
Oh my gosh!
Like Jeff Zorno and John Bellotti. They're both from my neighborhood over here.
Oh wow!
But I met them at G Fest in Chicago just to find out so it makes sense to have one over.
Absolutely.
So that's a cool little story.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Well, we don't want to keep you too long. Michael, do you have any other last questions you want to ask?
I just had one un-kaiju related question. So, speaking of you personally, Joe, any advice you want to give to up and coming artists that want to get into the game?
Yeah, I guess just There's a lot. Basically, it's just practice as much as you can, as often as you can. Don't stop, and then post on your socials, because if you don't post, no one will see and no one will know you exist. So even if you don't think anyone's taking notice and you're not getting the amount of likes you want, and you don't think anybody's watching, if you don't post, you guarantee yourself that no one's watching. So at least you'll have exposure to a degree. But yeah, try to do shows if you can do shows, because I'm living proof that it can pay off if luck is on your side. But if you don't go to the show, it doesn't matter if luck's on your side. You're not there. You know, if you're sitting in your house not doing any of these things, you're absolutely guaranteeing that nothing will happen for yourself. So yeah, but it's all about the practicing daily, putting out new work and promoting it, and just taking that as seriously as you can, and try to stay as positive as you can about it, even when things don't look like that it's working out for you. You just never know when something will take a turn, and you just got to be there when it does, like, and be in the right mindset and ready to go if it happens.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's perfect advice for them, because you got to promote yourself. Sure. You know, you're self-employed basically, so you got to do the effort. You got to put yourself out there, and you got to do all of that stuff, because it's all on you. You know.
Yeah, it's true. It's absolutely true.
All right. Yeah, like I said, I don't want to take up any more of your time. Thank you, Joe, for joining us again. This has been a lot of fun. I mean, we could probably go for another couple hours.
Thank you, Joe. We appreciate you
talking kaiju stuff, because I mean, this is what it's all about, like connecting with other kaiju fans. Like that's how me and Michael have met, and others, you know, and Joe and stuff like that. Like that kind of camaraderie and the same, like I love this kind of stuff, and meeting you and getting to do this with you, like that's awesome. And I thank you, and congrats on all your success with Tiamat, with all the toy releases and your upcoming stuff. I mean, you're going to be a busy guy for years to come, honestly.
I do hope so. Thank you. Thank you very much. It was a lot of fun being here and talking to you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you. We appreciate you.
So yeah, well, we'll close it out. Thank you all for watching, or we'll watch this. We will put DopePope's link tree in our description. So go check out all of his socials. Is there any other plug that you want to do before we get out of here?
Tomorrow night on Creature Corner, which is on the Noman School channel on YouTube. I think it's 10 p.m. EST. I'll be live sculpting with Jared Krzyzewski and Matt Millard. These are two concept artists that work on the MonsterVerse films as well as other things. And the three of us are continuing this will be the third week on our giant monster series that we're doing. Each one of us started a kaiju that we worked on for the past 3 weeks now. So we're going to finish up tomorrow night.
Cool. If
anybody's interested in watching that and watching a sculpt live, tune into that. I'll post about it probably tomorrow, so check my Instagram, X, all that stuff. Perfect. Plus, Young Gurry is tomorrow also. So yeah, buy that toy, then watch me sculpt, and do all that good stuff.
That's perfect. He's everywhere, folks. Yeah, so that'll about do it. Like I said, thank you, Michael, for joining me and doing this with me. It was a pleasure, buddy.
Absolutely.
And until next time, embrace the attitude.
Embrace the attitude.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
No, look at that.